are not many, at least the organizations which are very large, and if they want to continue using their on-premises data center and the AWS cloud storage, they can leverage this particular hybrid storage capability. Okay, so hybrid storage capability. So they can use the on-premises storage as well as use the AWS storage to expand to kind of continue to store more data. Okay, so they call it a storage gateway. So from the name itself, you can understand this is a gateway to the AWS storage. So it is a connection, or it is an integration service between your on-premises and AWS cloud, and specifically from the storage standpoint, on-premises and the AWS cloud specifically towards storage. Okay, and now with earlier, like in the olden days, what we generally do, we go and create a tape backup, or we go and take a go and store the tape in the offsite or offsite store. Okay, and we do such things, right? Similarly, we might do a file storage or file backup and then keep it in a safer side, so something like that. So here what we are trying to do is there are many options, in fact. Okay, see, can just list down, I can list down the gateway types. If you want to send all the files from your on-premises, or if you want to store the files in the AWS cloud, or if you want to put the objects in AWS, okay, what you will generally do, you will just go and store it in Amazon S3, right? If you want to store objects, or I will say files or objects, you will just store objects in Amazon S3, right? That's the default one. So it will be storing files as objects in Amazon S3, and automatically you will get to understand that once it is placed into Amazon S3, you will get all the benefits of versioning, lifecycle management to reduce the cost and all those things, right? So you get a lot of benefits there. So what is the good benefit on this particular first option is it'll give you an option to do a local file caching. So this gateway type is called file gateway, where you will transfer only files, and the transferred files will be stored as an object in S3. It is like for storing the data in S3, and any frequently accessed contents can be cached locally. Okay, so frequently accessed data can be cached locally. So that is one biggest advantage with this file gateway option. Okay, so I'll explain a little more on this, but at least to start with, I'm just trying to give you the different option. So volume gateway, it will transfer all the data as a point in time volume backup. Okay, it will be sending the point in time volume level backups, or you can say it will just send their snapshots and store it as EBS snapshot in AWS cloud. Okay, from the name itself, you can understand it is snapshot, volume level gateway, right? Or volume gateway. It will copy the content as a volume, and if you want to access it back on the on-premises data, you can access it using iSCSI target, or you can mount that particular volume in your on-premises using an iSCSI technology, or you can use the iSCSI based solution to mount it back on your on-premises. So here, the snapshots are always incremental. The first snap will be full, and the subsequent will be incremental, so that there is less data transfer and cost associated. Okay, subsequent will be incremental, and also it supports compression while the data is getting transferred, because we are talking about volume, right? It will be huge capacity sometimes, so it will compress and send the data over the network so that there is less traffic. Okay, the next one is the tape gateway. See, in on-premises, we might have been taking the backup into the physical tapes, and we might have been keeping it in the different location or different offsite, right? Here, instead of physical tapes, we are taking the backups into the virtual tapes. Virtual tapes is nothing but Amazon S3 storage that will be provisioned as a virtual tape, and you will be continuously backing up the data to Amazon S3, and from there you can also live cycle the data to the cold or archived here based on the, I'm referring to the Glacier concept, right? You can also move it to the Glacier Vault or the backend using the tape-based processes. Okay, you will follow the same process like your tape backup, but it is going to the Amazon S3 instead of your offsite location. So that's how it works, called the tape gateway. There is one more option which is called Fsx File Gateway. This is very new one where you've got a similar option, but the technology that it is going to use on the cloud side will be Amazon FSx instead of Amazon S3 storage. So this is a file gateway for copying the files to Amazon, and it will be using Amazon FSx for Windows Server. And again, a very good advantage is that the frequently accessed content can be cached locally and you can continuously access it. See, this is on a very high level, and if in case you don't want to, you don't have a kind of virtualization technology. See, all these options are possible only if you have an existing hypervisor or virtualization technology in your on-premises. If you have an VMware environment, or if you have a Microsoft Hyper-V, or any virtualization technology, if you have something, then you can leverage these gateway options. These are all virtual appliances. These are all software appliances. Whatever I'm mentioning above, you need to create a VM, or you need to create a virtual machine on your on-premises. You will have to create a virtual appliance and then use that virtual appliance to copy the data. Okay, I'll show you something, but again, for now, just understand it theoretically. So you have to create a VM in your on-premises hypervisor platform, either it is VMware, vSphere, or Microsoft Hyper-V. You have to go and create a VM, and from that VM, using that VM, the data will be getting transferred. Okay, and if in case I don't have an hypervisor technology, no hypervisors in your on-premises, so what you can do is you can go and order physical appliance from Amazon. Even in Amazon.com also, even in the Amazon commercial cloud also, they are selling this storage gateway physical appliance. You can purchase it and you can have that particular device in your on-premises, and you can use that physical device to replicate the content to Amazon cloud. Okay, you have these 4 different options. Okay, you have file gateway, you have volume gateway, tape gateway, FSx file gateway, and the physical appliance to send across the data. And why we need to have these many gateway types or these many solutions? So mainly for I will tell you, it is mainly because of the security requirements. Your organization want to securely send the data to cloud, and also there might be some compliancy requirement that you might not be allowed to transfer it through some third-party device or physical devices. In order to meet that, you might be using these technology to send across the data. And in this concept, as I told you, it is hybrid storage capability, right? So part of your data or content is in on-prem, and part of your data is in AWS cloud. So we are using both of them. So the AWS cloud can be used for long-term data, or the data that you want to store for long, and the frequently accessed data, or the important data or critical data can be kept in your on-premises. So you can use it in 2 different ways. See, you can use it for short-term, and critical data alone can be stored in on-prem, and the non-critical and the long-term can be stored in cloud. So it depends on case to case. Some organization might use it for long-term storage, or some companies will use it for storing non-critical, and some customers are also using it for internet facing. If you have some web application or some internet facing application which needs some kind of cloud storage, they are leveraging Amazon technology to store the data there, and they are providing it globally, or they are trying to provide access to the content in a global scale. See, for example, Netflix is streaming across the globe, right? And if they are using it in their data center, they might have to have data centers across the globe. But since they are hosting it in AWS, they are leveraging their technology, cloning technology or replication technology, and they are able to provide access to the user across the globe with better speed and stuff. So they are actually storing their important data in the cloud, but still they are leveraging Amazon technology to replicate across the globe, and use some kind of network front-end technologies like CloudFront, all those things, and they are able to give a better speed. And even the hybrid storage technology, some people are using it for long-term migration or large-scale migrations also. Okay, so if they want to do some large-scale migration slowly, they can use the storage gateway to export the data to the cloud through the storage gateway. Even for large-scale migration or long cloud migration, they can also do it, because they might do a phase by phase. One department might agree to copy the data now. Some department might say, I want date time 6 months or 4 months later. I can copy something like that. So different organization will come with different requirement, and you can just play around with this storage gateway. This storage gateway can act as a very good option to help with different use cases. So mainly this storage gateway, I would say the primary purpose is actually to have a disaster recovery option. See, in tape backup, why you used to store the tape in the offsite, just for disaster recovery or business continuity, or in order to restore the business data if there is a major disaster in the primary location, right? So the primary use case for storage gateway is to have a disaster recovery, or have continuous backup happening to the cloud, and use it for restoration. Or some people are also using it for tiered storage. So after you move to the cloud, I also told you, right, you can also do the lifecycle management. Data that are not frequently accessed, move it to a Glacier or some kind of archived storage, so that they can reduce a lot of cost. They can save a lot of cost. So you get tiering advantage in the cloud. Okay, so there are three different things. You are sending files and objects, you are sending volumes, and you are sending tapes. These are three different things that you can pass on to the cloud. So you can send it as a file, or you can send it as a volume by taking a snapshot, or you can send it as a tape, but this is a virtual tape. Okay, so these are the three major options. And in phase I mean in case, I mean in fact, like, you have one more option called Fsx Gateway. But as of now, the main difference that you need to understand is that the file gateway might not support all the S3 options. So maybe it might support okay, let's try to expand now. Let's get into little more details. Okay, but I just don't want to repeat the same thing. Let's try and explore little more. Okay, so now let's talk about the file gateway. So file gateway, at the end, if you ask me like how it works, so if you go to, let me show you the stuff on the cloud first, so that you can visualize how it works instead of just theoretical thing. If I go to storage gateway, it gives me option to download the appliance. It will give me the option to download the virtual machine content. Okay, you can just go and create a gateway, and here it gives me option on what kind of gateway I want to choose, whether I want to choose the Amazon S3 file gateway or Amazon Fsx file gateway, tape gateway, and so on. And you need to choose the hypervisor technology. Okay, based on the hypervisor technology, they will allow me to download the what do you call download the appliance or the OVF file. Okay, so I need to select the gateway type, and I need to select for which hypervisor I need to download the virtual machine content or the virtual machine file. So once after I download it, I can just directly go and start implementing that machine following this particular step-by-step instruction. It will be a OVF file. It will be an open virtualization format file. It can be downloaded and used for any particular virtualization technology. Since it is open virtualization format, it can support all the virtualization, VMware, Microsoft, Linux, KVM, Amazon EC2 on your outpost, and you also have the hardware appliance option also. So if you go and select the file gateway, this is mainly for Amazon S3 file gateway. Since we have Amazon Fsx file gateway, this is a different option. See, there are two options, right? There is an Amazon EFX file gateway, and this is Amazon S3 file gateway. So there are two options. If you select this option, your data is going to get stored in Amazon S3, and you can access this particular Amazon S3 file gateway from the cloud using NFS and SMB protocol. So let me make you visualize. See, once I select it, and then once I download this particular machine, the OVF template, I'll be able to go and create a VM in my on-premises. And once after the VM is created, that VM will continue to run in my on-premises data center. So in your on-premises, you are going to create that as a VM, that particular virtual appliance on your ESXi or on your Hyper-V. You will go and create that virtual machine. This virtual machine is going to act as the gateway device. Okay, this is the VM. This is the VM which will act as the file gateway, or whatever gateway you want to configure. You can configure that as a file gateway. So all your systems, the file server or your application server or database server, so all these VMs will connect to this particular file gateway machine using NFS or SMB protocol, and they can start sending the data to on AWS cloud. Okay, they will be connecting to this using NFS version 3 or version 4 or whatever. It supports both. Okay, and also you can optionally integrate it with Active Directory. If you are integrating with Active Directory, then you can use what do you call SMB. Okay, can be integrated. This appliance can be integrated with AD. So you can use AD username and password also to connect to that system. And after the file gateway, it will go through the HTTPS on the internet. On the internet level, it will go through HTTPS. Okay, either it is direct connect or whatever circuit, it will be sending the data using HTTPS. Okay, 443. It will be a transport layer security will be there, and it will reach the Amazon cloud. Okay, on this side, it will go to Amazon S3. Okay, it will be going and storing the data in Amazon S3. Sorry. It will be going and storing the data in S3. Okay. Oh, going and storing in S3, and from here, from S3 to S3 infrequently accessed or Glacier, it will automatically move. Okay, that is how it works. So this is your corporate data center. This is Amazon cloud, and from your corporate data center, your on-premises data center, corporate data center. This is Amazon cloud. So you are sending the data using the virtual machine, which is acting as the file gateway. So this machine can send or transfer the data to the Amazon S3 storage using HTTPS protocol. And this file gateway can be accessed using NFS. So whatever data that is stored in the S3, you can access it from this file server using this file gateway. From the file gateway, it will be the endpoint can be NFS or SMB. It can work in both the options. Okay, so the file gateway can allow access to the cloud storage via NFS or SMB protocol. Both will be supported. Okay, on the other side, the data first gets stored in Amazon S3, and in the S3, it can also move from the regular standard to infrequently accessed, and from infrequently accessed, it can also go to a different tier, so that you can save some costs there. Okay, and most of the recent data can be cached locally, and also I told you it can be integrated with AD also for AD based user authentication. You can also do that, and the biggest advantage is that you can access it from hundreds of machines at the parallel. Okay, you can connect it from app server, you can connect it from another file server. All of the systems will have the same data access, so it can be mounted in multiple systems and can be accessed in parallel. Okay, so that is the biggest advantage of going with Amazon S3 file gateway. So similarly, if you want to understand the other one, which is the volume gateway. Okay, let's talk about that. So this is volume gateway. Again, volume gateway is backed by Amazon S3. On the cloud side, it will be using Amazon S3. So instead of this machine VM acting as a file gateway, it will act as a volume gateway. Okay, it is the same VM, but it will act as a volume gateway. So here you have to select the second option, this option, and it will be giving a different appliance for download, and you have two options. Okay, you can use it as a cached volume or the stored volume. I'll explain what exactly that is. Okay, there are two options. Okay, so cached volumes, whatever volumes you are frequently accessing, that can be cached locally. But if you just want to store as a stored volume, then it will be like there will be delay in accessing it, because the entire data is stored in the cloud, and it has to retrieve from the cloud and give access to the virtual machine. So if you ask me like how this is accessed on the on-premises side, it will not be using NFS. Since it is a volume, the entire volume will be again mounted as a iSCSI target. Okay, you'll be able to mount the entire volume as an iSCSI target, and you will be able to access the content stored in the cloud as a volume, as a entire volume, instead of just one file at one file. I mean, it will not be file by file. It will be the entire volume which will be mounted if in case needed. Okay, so the technology that is used actually is, it will be taking the EABS snapshot, and it will be storing as a snapshot in AWS Amazon S3. And when it is needed, the snapshot can be mounted as a iSCSI volume on your file server or on your any of your server, and you can be able to access it anytime. Okay, so here it is the iSCSI protocol, but the transfer will be happening using the HTTPS always. So on the from the on-premises to the cloud, it is always HTTPS, but the virtual machine will give access to the systems using different protocol or technology. In volume gateway, it will be giving access through iSCSI. Okay, similarly, if you talk about the next option, what is the next one? Tape gateway, right? So tape gateway, let me just put it here. Also, I'll copy the other content, whatever we had for the volume gateway. Sorry guys, I'm using tab instead of, okay, let me just cut and paste point in time. So data will be accessed as an iSCSI target. And when the transfer data is transferred, the first one will be full and the next one will be incremental. Okay, perfect. So now tape gateway. So tape gateway, so some companies have been using the physical tape for a longer time, right? The process is the same as physical tape concept, but the biggest advantage you are going to get out using the tape gateway is that you can use any traditional or any major vendor's backup tool. Okay, almost like your net backup, or if you want to use Tivoli or TSM or whatever, you can use those third-party backup tool to store the data into the virtual tapes instead of the physical tapes. Okay, so here what it will happen, the data will be, the Amazon S3 storage will be acting as a virtual tape. It will be presented as a virtual tape, and again it is iSCSI only here. So instead of storing it as a volume or a file, it will be storing as a virtual tape. The Amazon S3 storage will be provisioned as a virtual tape, and you'll be able to access that particular virtual tape from the on-premises, and even you can archive it also. Okay, there will be one tape for the primary access, and the archived contents will be stored in another tape. So they call it as virtual tapes for the primary thing, and they call it as archive tapes for the historical or for the content that are stored in Amazon Glacier. So instead of physical tapes, we are using virtual tape libraries or VTL concept, and the VTL will be accessed by the backup tool. So let me put it this way. See, you are getting a space from your Amazon S3. Okay, so Amazon S3 is going to provide you capacity. This Amazon S3 content will be accessed via internet, and this internet will be internet side will always be HTTPS over the internet. In your data center, in your corporate data center, you'll get a VM created. Okay, and that VM will act as a tape gateway. Sorry, this VM will act as a tape gateway. So what it will do is, instead of allowing this tape to be available to the end machine, it will be allowing this to be accessed from the media server or the backup server. Okay, that is the biggest difference. So in the other three options, we are talking about file server, app server, database server, but here this tape gateway will be accessed by the backup media server or the backup server. Okay, it can be media server or backup server. Ideally, it should be the media agent server. Okay, so this server will connect to this tape library, and it will be storing the backup content instead of the local physical tapes. It will be sending it to the virtual tapes in Amazon S3. Okay, you are using a backup tool to connect to the tape gateway, and through that tape gateway you will be storing the content in Amazon S3 as virtual tape instead of physical tape. Virtual tape, I mean, at the end it is all storage, right? So you are getting storage space from, instead of getting it from the physical tape, you are getting it from the Amazon S3. So that is the biggest difference. Okay, you are using the same backup tool, backup technology, but instead of existing physical tape trace passes, instead of physical tape based process, we are using virtual tape coming from the Amazon S3 cloud. That is the main difference. Okay, you can use any major leading backup software vendor, whoever provides you backup tool, Commvault or NetBackup or Tivoli. All the different tool sets are supported. Okay, the process is same, the concept is same, but instead of storing in physical tape, we are storing in virtual tape. Clear? Now the next option is the physical appliance. If you don't have a virtualization technology in your on-premises, you can go and purchase the physical server or physical appliance called storage gateway. Because like if you don't have a virtualization option, then you cannot download the OVF file, right? So you cannot download and import the OVF file. Then you have to go and ask for the physical option, hardware appliance. Then you can get the hardware appliance from Amazon portal itself. If you click on order, it will go to the internet site. It will be available in the Amazon portal only. Okay, you can order it through the console.portal, portal, or you can also get it directly from Amazon. You can fill in the details and you can order the product. Okay, they will send the physical server. It will be again a Dell EMC kind of server. You can choose. Okay, and you can activate the appliance and start using it. So the concept is same. All the different options are available. It can act as a file gateway. It can act as a volume gateway, tape gateway. But instead of virtual machine, you are getting a physical hardware appliance. That's the only difference. The physical appliance can act as a file gateway, volume gateway, and tape gateway, like your virtual machine. Okay, so instead of using VM, we are using physical server, which can act as file, volume, and tape gateway. Okay, all three are supported. You can purchase it directly on Amazon.com. Okay, it will give you all the necessary CPU, memory. You get a lot of different options. You can order Dell EMC or whatever technology you want. Okay, they will be sending similar like this. Okay, it is a Dell EMC brand. This is the physical server that they will send to your on-premises. Okay, you can put it in your rack and you can start using it. This is the appliance detail. This is the minimum configuration support it will come, and you can also increase the capacity. By default, it will come with this spec, but you can, if you want to change it or enhance it, you can get more capacity also. This is the default spec. Okay, so they will be sending this hardware appliance to your on-premises. This is Dell EMC box, but they have rebranded and I mean, not giving it. And you can mount it as a NFS or iSCSI, or you can do anything that you want. Okay, so from exam point of view, there are some exam questions or couple of exam questions in associate level, and maybe I'll just give you some insight there. See, you have to read the question carefully. And if you want to have some on-premises to data integration to cloud in your question, then the first thing that needs to come to your mind is storage gateway solution. Okay, that is the best solution that is available, because we are appearing for Amazon exam, right? So you should think about storage gateway. And if the question has, if I need access using NFS protocol, or if I want to have AD authentication with the user and all those things, then automatically you should get file gateway on your mind. And again, on the back end, they will also give some hint where exactly the data is getting stored. If they use Amazon S3, you need to select Amazon S3 file gateway. If they are saying Amazon FSX, then you have to select Amazon FSX file gateway. And in the question, if you see some words like iSCSI and all those things, automatically you can think like whether it is a volume gateway or a tape gateway, and they will give you a hint whether it is a block storage or it is a virtual tape library solution. If it is a block storage, then automatically you can think that that the answer is volume gateway. Similarly here, if it is iSCSI, and they will give you virtual tape or VTL in the question, so you have to choose the tape gateway. All these are having on the back end Amazon S3, and for lifecycle management or historical, it will go to Glacier. Okay, same thing. Okay, and if the question has got no on-premises virtualization technology, then automatically your answer should be hardware appliance solution. Okay, so read the question. You will see some small hint to differentiate the answers. Okay, so that is what you need to be aware of at this point of time. Okay, so let me check here if I missed anything. So we have covered. Okay, Amazon FSX file gateway, I've only captured 2 points, right? See, Amazon FSX file gateway, as I told you, on the back end, it is going to use Amazon FSX instead of Amazon S3. Okay, and Amazon FSX for Windows Server is what it will use. And by that word itself, you will be able to understand this is going to support only SMB. And you can definitely have NTFS, AD integration, all those things. So this one is mainly NFS, this one is mainly SMB. That is the main difference. You can easily differentiate if it is coming in the exam. If they are asking us to mount it using SMB protocol or send the data using SMB protocol, then automatically you can think it is Amazon FSX S3 one. And in general, people use this for file shares, home directory, and all those things, because like you can think Windows Server is generally used for that, right? Windows Server file share, and also you get the caching also here. Okay, so any questions from anyone on this particular thing? Okay, this is very important, especially from exam point of view, because like we cannot see the lab because we need to download the appliance, and we should have an on-premises hypervisor, or we need to purchase this physical appliance. But you need to understand how these things work in different protocol and how it connects. Okay, so this is the integration technology that you use in your on-premises to continuously move data from on-premises to cloud. That is the simple thing I can summarize. Okay, it is an integration service between on-premises and AWS cloud, and you can use these different gateway type. Okay, any questions from anyone on these things? I know like a lot of theory, but still like these are very important. You have to talk to when customers are you are interfacing with customers, they will have a lot of doubts and questions, so you have to be clear in answering them. Okay, I think we are almost done. Okay, maybe let's see if there is something left, or else I okay. Is my audio okay? You guys are still there?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Bala. Thank you, Raj. So, okay, any questions from anyone, or are we good? I know we have discussed a lot of things today.
A lot of
yeah.
We have to come to this video again and again. Then only we will be able to know.
True.
Correct.
But again, at the end, you need to get opportunity to discuss with different customers and solutioning. And yeah, that's true. You have to also try to practice and use some tool sets also. Like we also use some tools, right? So yeah, let me save this file and I'll upload this file as well as the recording. Okay, so we'll try and catch up tomorrow with a different topic. Okay, so I'll be here for 2 more minutes. I'll stop the recording. If in case you guys are already tired, go and take some rest. Okay, and